Hello, everybody, and welcome to ohmTown. I am Merwat. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the AI that's going to say hi.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
Let me turn that down a little bit. Today is ohmTown Daily Season 2, Episode 212 for July 31st, 2023. Geriatrics 11. We're going to be talking about crypto firm and the Chrome Eyes, Dr. Google and the AI, the power of light in computing, tech's throwaway culture, Deepfake Detector tested, fire whirls at Joshua Tree, Minecraft mods now have a trust issue, KFC held a funeral for its soggy fries, can you hear Voyager 2 now? Taco Bell lawsuit about ingredients. I think this is part 2 of that. Or I should say redux, however you want to pronounce it. A Transformers has a problem, and a sprawling senior citizen crime ring. What an eclectic array of titles. Let's get into today's articles. Today is a Monday. And tomorrow, Tuesday, is going to be the drawing of a lottery worth over $1 billion. And there are some articles that are over in ohmTown that talk about it. I added some new sources, and I've actually removed a couple as well. One that was added actually is providing some really old news, and I'm not quite sure why their solution is broken. But anyway, so if you find anything that is older than 24 hours within a given day, rest assured it's being addressed. But maybe you'll like an older article on a day, a month away. It's that old at times, apparently. So go and check out ohmTown, see if there's any news that you're interested in. If you want to talk about the article, you can send it via a direct message here on Twitch. You can contact me via YouTube or send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com. I get pretty much everything everywhere. I would say send me a message on Twitter, but, well, it's kind of a dumpster fire right now. But in the meantime, let's go and check out the articles for today. So this very first article is over in the Mobble channel. A new crypto firm wants to scan your eyeballs should you look away. It says here, for critics, the ID process from WorldCoin is a privacy risk. For others, it's a financial security in the age of AI. The authors of this article try it out. WorldCoin wants to prove that they are actually human, i.e. the author of this article. At least that's the explanation a staff member gives for a cryptocurrency venture scanning their eyeball in a London office building. Without the optical scan, WorldCoin will not verify your humanness. You could be a robot and you won't get any crypto. Welcome to financial security in the age of artificial intelligence. When you click this link, you get taken over to the Guardian. And I think their name is Habib Farah and Yassin El-Modin. This is the Chrome eyeball that's staring at your eyeball and scanning it to prove that you're a human. At least this is valid until, well, robots get human-like eyes. And let's see something here. Concerns have been voiced about the privacy implications of WorldCoin, which was co-founded by Sam Altman, the chief executive of the ChatGPT developer OpenAI. By the way, they're not doing this all over the place. They're actually doing it in very specific locations. I don't know how well this would go over here in the U.S. It seems really weird. I don't want anybody. I feel weird about places that I know, based on my interaction, are secure having biometric data of my eyeballs. And there are some places that require biometric access by scanning an eye. But I wouldn't want just some company just grabbing this stuff. I don't know why. Because really, everything is a protest away, really. Like, hey, I did not allow my eye to be scanned. What are they going to do with it? Well, maybe they're going to do some Ocean's 11 thing like we talk about later on in the show, but it says people interested in cryptocurrency are signing up to WorldCoin through the World app. If you had signed up on Friday, you would have received a Genesis grant of 25 WorldCoin tokens, equivalent to approximately 40 pounds. But to get verified after an initial sign up, users need to have their eyes scanned by visiting a scanning orb. There are approximately 1.5 thousand orbs in more than 35 cities worldwide, including in a building in Shoreditch, East London, and 2 million people have signed up so far.
If I was looking for a crypto coin and one required biometrics and one did not, I think I know which direction I'd go.
Well, I just don't understand what the benefit of this is. This is all FOMO. This is all. It's either FOMO or it's free money, that kind of a thing.
Which is
I
kind
don't
of
know.
the same thing, right?
I guess, yeah.
Like if you weren't making money or the specter of making money, would you really care?
I don't know. Maybe I just appreciate my privacy too much, because if I would have stuck by um, uh, Bitcoin when it was dropped and Ethereum when it was dropped, I would be a billionaire right now. Because Bitcoin, when I first started mining, was 3 cents. And so you sit there and you go, is this actually is it gonna amount to something? Is there something there? But there's no inherent value in any of these cryptocurrencies until you translate them into real world currency, or you stumble across somebody who's interested in buying those coins for whatever good or service you're pitching. So you bow out, right? And a lot of people, many people, are on each side of the fence, I guess you could say. But people are being paid to give up their eyes for 40 pounds. And I'm sure, I don't know what the terms are of this, but I'm sure the terms are once you've given it. See, it says it is important to note that the terms and conditions, unsurprisingly, are lengthy. While it's up to you to pause the process to read them, their length means it is unlikely people will read every word as they get verified. And the WorldCoin staff says it's down to you to understand what's on it and that you're comfortable accepting it. How in the hell would I hear that phrase and go, hey, you know what? I'm good with that. I think I'm comfortable giving up my eyeball biometric data for 40 pounds and it being owned in perpetuity. They're probably going to say that you can't revoke it, which I don't know. In the UK, you have the right to be forgotten. Here in the States, good luck.
Well, notice that the UK data watchdog is already pursuing this, and then also Big Brother Watch is looking at it.
Yeah, well, it's like I say, Big Brother is government. little sister is business, and I'm more worried about little sister. The extent of the staff's advice is limited to how to download the app, sign up, and get scanned. The terms and conditions state that there will be no refund or compensation in the event of digital tokens being stolen by hackers or other malicious groups, or if there is an intentional or an unintentional bug, intentional, on the open source software they use. Yeah, what are they doing with biometric data? It can't be just to verify the person, because that's what IDs are for.
Well,
Right?
exactly. And at least in the US, but I'm sure in the UK as well, they've taken steps to prevent false identification. I mean, obviously, they can't 100% secure against it, but like
Yep.
if your ID is good enough to get on, say, an airplane, well, I know there's talk about biometrics for that, or to get into your workplace or wherever.
Yeah, well,
Why do you need biometrics for this?
all of it, though, is you either have a passport or ID, and that's what verifies you, because the government has already verified you. All right, well, let's keep going. The next article is over in the mobile channel. Dr. Google AI could be doctor in the pocket, but company's health officer urges caution about its limits. This is an interesting article to be submitted because, pardon me, we just got done talking about the fact that you had better go and verify everything that Google's AI spews out. And so this here says Dr. Karen DeSalvo is excited by the arrival of artificial intelligence, but warns it has limitations and will only be a tool in the toolbox of medical professionals. Okay, yes, but those are the people that are rationally looking at AI as a tool in the toolbox, not the de facto answerer of all inquiry. But we've already seen attorneys, and we see countless other people utilizing AI as if it is the Oracle of Omaha, and anyway, that's actually a person's nom de guerre. Anyway, the idea of leaning on AI for information, when the caveat at the bottom of every page is, hey, I'll summarize it, I spew BS. If you trust me, you're an idiot. The arrival of artificial intelligence into healthcare means everyone could one day have a doctor in their pocket, but Google's chief health officer has urged caution about what AI can do and what its limits should be. And its limits should be, you shouldn't trust it. And what it can do is give you misinformation, because it's basically tacitly designed to just provide an answer. Although today I asked ChatGPT to actually provide me an actual color, and it said it can't, because all it can do is spit out text. But it described it saying, I can't provide you a color because I'm limited to just text. So Midjourney could spew out a color. Now it's more creative than just saying, hey, give me a big square blue thing. It would turn it into an actual cube with atmospheric stuff around it. But that's the point. That's the point that I'm trying to make. AI is not. It isn't your buddy. It isn't your friend. It isn't there to make you feel good. It isn't there to provide you solid answers, definitive answers, legal advice, medical advice, relationship advice. It's there to spit out information, absorb as much information from the macro of the population. Everybody who's using it is feeding into it. And scientists are sitting there running numbers against everything to find statistical significance of words and phrases and interactions, so that it can make the AI better for whatever means are going on behind closed doors. the worst possible thing is for a doctor to utilize an AI and get an answer and it's wrong. And while there's going to be some numbnuts out there that's going to tell me, well, you know, if that happens, then they'll sue the doctor.
Not if they're dead.
Exactly. Just that uttering the phrase, well, you know, they'll get in trouble. It means that somebody had to be harmed because they ignored the 20% of the populations that has been sitting there going, don't trust AI, don't trust AI, don't trust it. If you trust it, you're an idiot. But it's not that I want anything to befall the people that are accepting of AI. What I want is guardrails, checks and balances, making sure that it's not spewing out BS. And at the bottom of the BS smoke and mirrors page is the statement, GPT may produce inaccurate information about people, places, or facts. I have that on my screen right there. I see it every day because I interact with it. You shouldn't be trusting it, and it shouldn't be anywhere involved with the patient-doctor interaction. Let the doctors do all their own noodling around with the AI. But if they go into the sphere of the patient and provide anything verbatim from an AI, they should lose their medical license. Until we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the information that's being provided by a medical bot is perfect, it has to be superior to the human. And right now, it's all smoke and mirrors. Josh Taylor is the author of this article that I've been ranting about for 3 minutes. And they're talking about Dr. Google over at theguardian.com. The arrival of artificial intelligence in healthcare means everyone could one day have a doctor in their pocket. But the chief health officer at Google says, I'd back away from that. There's going to be an opportunity for, quote, there's going to be an opportunity for people to have better access to services and to great quality services, Dr. Karen DeSalvo told Guardian Australia in an interview last week. This whole turn of phrase just smacks of like BS itself, right? Like, oh, it's going to be services and they're going to be really great quality services. Really?
It sounds like an infomercial.
It sounds like hubris. It sounds like BS. It sounds like nothing. What qualify and quantify great quality services? Because I don't see it if it's spewing out bogus information. They continue, but we're a ways to get there. We have a lot of things to work out to make sure the models are constrained appropriately, that they're factual, consistent, and that they follow these ethical and equity approaches that we want to take. But I'm super excited about the potential, even as a doc. Super excited. That's what I want to hear from a doctor. Oh, really, man? You're like super excited. Right on. I'm so glad that you're talking to an AI, you know. Anyway, last week, a Google research study published in Nature analyzed how large language models could answer medical questions with its own MedPalm LLM. Included in the study, the LLMs were fed an LLM as large language model. They were fed 3,173 of the most common medical questions searched online, and the results showed that MedPalm system generated answers on par with answers from clinicians 92.9% of the time. Answers rated as potentially leading to harmful outcomes occurred at a rate of 5.8%. The author said further evaluation. So what is that as a ratio? I want to know
what the harmful outcome is too.
Yeah, and not just harmful outcome, but what is that rate? compared to clinicians, right? So if it's 92.9% of the time that it generated answers on par with clinicians, why don't we just stick with the clinicians? Because the chance of a 6% chance of landing on a harmful outcome, it's a little too high for me. At least I'm not being told by anybody that my doctors are full of crap.
Well, I was gonna say we're presuming that the clinicians are sorry about that the clinicians are accurate 100% of the time, and they're not. But
Right.
I also want to know what those harmful outcomes are, because the like delaying an appointment for a day is not necessarily going to be appreciably harmful. But it could be if somebody misses an appointment and suddenly drops dead.
Right.
And my apologies, there was a
It's okay.
flying
So,
outcome.
it says DeSalvo said the ultimate aim was to address the information imbalance between the medical industry and the public and put as much power into the hands of patients as possible. Well, the problem with that is patients already do self-medication and treatment. We really shouldn't be saying, hey, patients, you can just use this bot, because they're going to have to go see a medical professional to obtain medical treatment and additional guidance, because there is no way that they're going to get a holistic response that is custom built, bespoke to each person. And this is what you hear from doctors, right? Everybody is unique. Everybody is very specific. You can't just go, here's some aspirin and you'll be fine, when there might be subtle nuance to each individual human being. They don't want
Well,
you
that's
treating
true.
yourself.
Are they even, and that's the other thing, like the clinician arguably is tailoring the diagnosis and the treatment plan to the patient. But
Yeah.
is the AI doing something like that where there's, say, medication contraindications or some reason why you wouldn't want to go down a certain path?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what the objective is. That the objective is to get an AI to the level where it can provide treatment, which is fine. That's just great, right? But do it on the back end. Don't do it as providing guidance directly to patients. And until further notice, no doctor should be looking at no doctor should be looking at an AI's answer at 93% of the time and saying, oh, it's on par, so I'll go with what the AI says. Well, if you go with what the AI says, then you had better start lowering the cost of medical treatment, because now I'm waiting for doctors to come to the realization that they've busted their ass trying to get a medical degree, being driven into debt and having to do so much work, foregoing relationships, work-life balance, etc., right? Because the aspiration is to help people, right, along with make a shit ton of money. But if the bot now has all of the world's medical knowledge at its fingertips and can provide it simply by inquiry via a website, then guess what? The cost of a doctor is now couched entirely within the AI. And since AI is nothing more than compute resources, the price for an AI to provide me with medical information on par with a doctor is now $10 a month. Watch how fast this starts getting hobbled when it finally dawns on the industry, where typical doctors are making 150,000 plus. Oh, you mean this is going to start suppressing my wages? Oh gosh, I think I need to reevaluate. I don't think that AI should really be involved in medicine, you know?
Right, we can't bill as much. I mean, the insurance companies really aren't going to like it.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. All right. Um, there is a lot more to this, naturally, but we're going to have to watch this because uh, Google has been for the last 20 years just driving this bus, like the movie Speed, nonstop, going, 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 absorbing all of the world's knowledge. It was part of the DARPA program. It was to catalog the world's knowledge, and it's been doing a bang up job of commercializing that. Now it's doing everything well beyond search. um, so we'll have to watch this. AI, though, I think it is a great tool. It's a great solution. Do I think that it would be great for medicine? Yeah, sure. But I want it to be 100%. I don't want it to be on par with a human, because humans have medical insurance or medical malpractice insurance. They can be thrown in jail for screwing up royally, for taking somebody's life. The only thing you're going to get out of Google is a paycheck, and a paycheck isn't going to help me, bring somebody back. So I don't want mistakes from an AI where it's an inhuman uh, recourse. There isn't a legal channel where somebody is going to learn a lesson from this, other than, well, maybe we should tweak our algorithm a little bit. We're pulling the humanity out of interacting at the medical level, which every doctor I have ever spoken to has always said, well, I'm here so that I can help human beings. Well, I've been told that about other people too. I went into this because I wanted to help this or that. And then you throw a couple of drinks in somebody and they go, the reason I'm really doing this is because of the money. Yeah. We all know the real reason. Anyway, did you want to add anything?
No, I don't have anything to add.
There we go. Let's go on to the next article. This one is in the Mobile channel. Pardon me 1 second. This article is in the Mobile channel, harnessing the power of light, advancements in photonic memory for faster optical computing. This has been kind of one of the pieces of technology that have been in development and promised for years and years and years. Technological advancements like autonomous driving and computer vision are driving a surge in demand for computational power. Optical computing, with its high throughput, energy efficiency, and low latency, has garnered considerable attention from academia and industry. However, current optical computing chips face limitations in power consumption and size, which hinders the scalability of optical computing networks. So this article is over at phys.org, and it says, thanks to the rise of non-volatile integrated photonics, optical computing devices can achieve in-memory computing while operating with zero static power consumption. Phase change materials have emerged as promising candidates for achieving photonic memory, and non-volatile neuromorphic photonic chips. This basically screams Star Trek. PCMs offer high refractive index contrast between different states and reversible transitions, making them ideal for large-scale non-volatile optical computing chips. Basically speeding up the way information can transfer by using light instead of electrons, opening and closing gates in a transistor within a computer chip. So when you zoom close enough into a CPU, it's basically a bunch of gates.
So is that more energy efficient?
It's more energy efficient and faster, and it doesn't generate as much heat. Everything generates, if it's in motion, if it's transferring from one location to another, there's going to be heat generated. But when it's photonic, it's really low energy, so it's not going to create that much. So It can travel long distances at a high rate of speed. That's the idea behind optical cables. It's actually a beam of light inside a tube of glass being sent down the line, and you can send a lot of information within the single pulse of fiber optic or photonic stream. And then you can actually change the angle within the wire and the color of the light, and have transceivers on each side of the fiber optic cable. And so you can pack a lot of information into one fiber optic cable. The same applies for photonic CPUs or computing chips. A whole lot more information can be packed within a smaller amount of space, and it's not as there isn't as much degradation. Now, the whole process, though, also requires transitioning from digital to photonic. So you always have a bottleneck outside of the photonic processor. So anything that is just if it is not optical, it's going to be the bottleneck, because the bottleneck, or the electrons, are going to be moving slower. So the photonic memory utilizes the carrier dispersion effect of a pin diode to achieve volatile modulation with a rapid response time of under 40 nanoseconds, preserving the stored weight information. After training, the photonic memory utilizes the pin diode as a microheater to enable multi-level and reversible phase changes. So basically, it's making it possible to store information quickly and then reset. So this is really, really like deep in the reeds engineering and physical science. So all you kids out there that might be listening to this, engineering, physics, math, science, that's how you change the world. You can change the world in many other ways, but this is something that will fundamentally change the way that computers operate. Quite fascinating, but it's always on the horizon. It's been perpetually on the horizon for 20 years. And that's just me knowing about optical computing. So
maybe we're getting closer to it.
Yep.
I wonder what that'll do to the pricing of computers.
It all depends on the material science. If this is something that is of limited access, right, finite resource, like lithium, for instance, is under stress because of batteries for EVs. So the price starts going up because the supply is getting eaten away. Or something else, right? There's constrained allowance of diamonds to be released into the market to artificially keep them high, even though you can trip over them while you're walking around South Africa. South African mines. There's so many of them that without constraining it, they'd be nearly worthless. And you can make them now in a lab. It's not that we've been able to do that for a long time. Anyway, my point is, depending on the cost of goods, that price is going to be exorbitant. At the research and development level, priceless. You can't put a price on it, because everybody combined is what's putting the price on this during their research. So it'll be pretty pricey.
Yeah, I meant the consumer price, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't see it. I don't see optical computers at a retail level for 30 years. The next article, pardon me, I'm trying to make sure something is working. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Say hello to long life tech that can challenge our throwaway culture. We've got used to dumping old devices, but a new breed of firms is making products that they hope you will hang on to. I don't know. I think people are starting to hold on to their electronics a lot longer, mainly because of the cost associated with the electronics nowadays and the cost of living going up. I was used to swapping out a phone every 2 years. Now I'm looking at, I think I'm on year 4, and I don't really have a desire to swap it out. Something a little more intrinsic to my work life balance, like my iPad or a desktop computer, laptop, those need to be updated simply to match with the times. Um, and that's because as software develops and gets more um, resource intensive, you need a better computer. Pardon me. So it says here it is a habit that has become ingrained in so many consumers that you could be forgiven for thinking that there's no other way, dumping your old and tired tech for a shinier model every year or two, shelling out hundreds of pounds in the process. Hundreds? Try thousands. The article's over at The Guardian. Samuel Gibbs is the author. And they're at that's actually, I think that's the Apple headquarters. Maybe not. I think that's like an event, right? I don't know. It doesn't really say. There's a photograph, but it's a Getty image. It says Apple regularly updates its mobile phones, tablets, but doesn't describe what that is. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm trying to explain what that picture is that we're looking at. Anyway, once niche, the phones, headphones, and laptops are vying for the same consumers or customers that buy iPhones and Samsung devices, and legislation being pushed through the EU will eventually force even the big brands to offer more repairable devices. So it's time to make the jump now or wait to spend on more equipment later on. So it says one of the leaders of the repairable, upgradable revolution is Dutch upstart Fairphone and its eponymous smartphone, which is now in its 4th generation. The Fairphone 4 is an Android-based device with all of the usual features, including water resistance, packed into a slightly chunky design that hides fully modular parts. So it makes it easy to remove. One of the things that makes it wildly inexpensive is the fact that it's actually powered by Android, which, as far as end users are concerned, it's free. But if I recall correctly, there's a nominal fee. Anyway, the catch is it isn't the fastest. The camera isn't the same level as the Pixel, and at 500 pounds, it's more expensive, spec for spec, than rivals. That's because it's supposed to be greener. That modularity actually takes some engineering finesse. There are cheaper alternatives, such as a handful of Nokia phones costing about 120 pounds and up with replaceable parts, typically the battery. But they aren't quite as easy to fix as the Fairphone, and Nokia only provides up to 3 years of updates from release. The same kind of thing works for laptops, and Framework is actually something that I've been interested in, but I still to this day, I don't think that it's going to survive long. But I think that's actually just my bias about modular laptops, because I've seen them come and go. Back in the day, Toshiba and their Toughbook was a reasonably priced, highly modular and upgradable laptop. That tech was thick. I mean, their laptops are huge and heavy and clunky, but awesome. I liked them because you could flip the screen around and make them a tablet. And they were called Toughbooks because you could roll over them with your car and they would be arguably okay. They became like a government staple for quite a while, and like police and others would use them. Anyway, the Framework has all kinds of little doodads that you can slide into place, much like the Toughbooks and others.
Is that the technical term?
Yes, doodads. It's the high-tech term for gadgets, thingamajigs. The catch is, as with the Fairphone, is that the Framework 13 is slightly more expensive than equivalent rivals, starting at £1,049, which is not bad for a laptop, but it's more expensive than Dell, Acer, and others, according to the article. And again, that's all because it's not. It's modular. That engineering takes a little bit more sophistication and complexity in build. And it's not in such great demand that they can automate and lower the production costs to the same degree that Dell and Acer and others that have been around for years and years and years have been able to capitalize on. So laptop Framework is a very young startup, but that modularity is really interesting for me. And then finally, they talk about headphones. I'm going to bow out after this one, so you can follow the link through ohmTown. If you type in !vote, you'll get the link that'll allow you to follow all of the articles that we talk about over at ohmTown.com. So headphones also have that same problem. Now they're talking about III, which is to me, it's a very new company. I just started recently hearing about them, which is ironic because they're a headphones company. I didn't hear about it anyway. But there are others out there that are do-it-yourself 3D printed modular headphones that you can actually buy the plans for and print out, and you get a little kit to stick into your 3D printed headphone pieces, or you can buy a kit that's packaged but not put together. But III is not one of those. III, it's a Danish firm which has been making modular headphones since 2010, allows you to easily swap different parts beyond just the cable and ear cushions. It's TMA2, comes in different variants, including a Bluetooth version, a do-it-yourself edition that you put together yourself, and so on. It says Fairphone Fairbuds XL. It's another contender. A set of wireless noise canceling headphones that you can completely take apart. And the modules, including the battery, can be replaced by using just a fingernail. So they are similar to the ones that I was talking about. But it's a company that I just recently started hearing about more of. A couple of streamers, I think it is, or YouTubers, were hyping this recently in my areas of consumption. So I think the biggest issue with all of this is the production costs. Nothing's going to lower these costs until people realize that they don't need, 45% profit margins. The research and development is still being met. When you're measuring out what a product costs, you calculate it based on myriad ways, but most of the time nowadays, the way that it is priced is the amount of benefit to the consumers. And for some reason, we push to get more profits because we have this mantra ringing in our ears in business that we can't leave money on the table. Well, it's artificially increasing the cost of living because everybody is doing it at every single tier, which means that it leaves very little for anybody to survive on at the end of the day.
Don't you think part of the problem, though, is on the consumer side too? Because, a lot of people claim that they want more eco-friendly, sustainable, etc. But then what do they really want? They want the 1999 cheap throwaway version of whatever the item is instead of the expensive item. And I realize if corporations would get their act in gear, the prices would lower, which would kind of take care of the issue. But I feel like consumers are more often driven by price.
I think that there's a really broad strata of consumer, and some of them are willing to purchase inexpensive, and some are willing to purchase very, very expensive. Um, so, I can't really say that consumers are the uh, the driving force is profits, and so companies will offer up a solution at various levels, um, and the difference between one and another level is 15-20% maybe, and it's because they think that they're going to be able to grab everybody at every level, um, and those differences really amount to differences in production and quality of the item, instead of just making one great product. Now, Apple started out with one great product and then kept on adding strata. So now there's different levels of phone, etc., different level of tablet, different level of computer. And it's to capture as much of the market as possible at various price points. Because it's very hard for people to go, I think a $5,000 computer is worth it. It's pretty pricey, pretty tough to justify that. Um, so let's keep on going through the news. We're about maybe a third of the way done with the show. Am I in the wrong? Yeah, I'm on the wrong article. There we go. So the next article is over in the Technology Today. It used to be the Word in Tech, but I've changed the name to Technology Today. Intel's Deepfake Detector tested on real and fake videos. This is this source, which is BBC, is a fairly new source for the tech aspect focused information, but BBC tested Intel's new tool Fake Catcher on videos of Donald Trump and Joe Biden with mixed results. The article says the title is Intel's Deepfake Detector tested on real and fake videos. James Clayton, the North America technology reporter, put this article together for BBC.com. It says it was pretty obvious deepfake, a type of fake video that uses artificial intelligence to swap faces or create a digital version of someone. But as AI developments make deepfakes easier to produce, detecting them becomes a problem. This is why I created the show and haven't launched it yet. I've been promising it for 2 months, actually for a year. Reality Hacker, which focuses on this kind of thing. Well, the company has a system called Fake Catcher. And it says in Intel's plush and mostly empty offices in Silicon Valley, they meet. I think their name is Ilke Demir, research scientist at Intel Labs, who explains how it works. Quote, "We ask what is real about authentic videos. Or what is real about us? What is the watermark of being human?" she says. Central to the system is a technique called photoplethysmography. All right, which detects changes in blood flow. How does it detect changes in blood flow from video?
But I don't know. Does that mean I don't even understand that?
Okay. Faces created by deepfake just don't give out these signals. The system also analyzes eye movement to check for authenticity. So normally when humans look at a point, when I look at you, it's as if I'm shooting rays from my eyes to you. But for deepfakes, it's like googly eyes. They are divergent. Yeah, I don't believe that. By looking at both these traits, Intel believes it can work out the difference between a real video, and a fake within seconds. The company claims Fake Catcher is 96% accurate. So we asked to try out the system. Intel agreed. We used a dozen or so clips from former President Donald Trump and President Joe Biden. Some were real, some were deepfakes created by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Um, so let's see. In essence, the accuracy is entirely dependent on the difficulty of the test. I should say that should probably be reworded as to the quality of the deepfake. Intel claims the fake catcher has gone through rigorous testing. This includes a wild test in which the company has put together 140 fake videos and their real counterparts. In the test, the system had a success rate of 91. So why did they say it was 96 up here?
Exactly.
Huh. So again, it's one of these things where the tools that they're trying to catch are also the tools that are being used to catch. So you build, and this is what I say when I talk to people and give a presentation. You build a better mousetrap and better mice show up, and then you build a better mousetrap and better mice show up. Something has to give, and what needs to give is that society needs to realize that just keep on abusing is not really the solution. You know, oh well, somebody's going to do it, right? Somebody's going to break into a house or whatever because there's a lock there doesn't stop anybody. No, it slows them down. But if we were to have ample opportunity, have ample equity, teach people ethics, and have a moral compass, nobody would go and break into a house to steal something. But the problem is that there's coping mechanism issues. There are people that are hungry or need something, and their only solution is to do something like that because they don't have the coping skills, opportunities, or equities that allow them to find some other solution. And then we're surprised, you know, that somebody is, you know, committing a crime of some kind. The reason why I tie it all together with like these deep fakes and whatnot is that we are just doing here what we're doing in the real world. We are building a tool that's getting used and abused, and then we're building a tool that's putting out the fire from what that first tool created. So we're basically selling the weapons to both sides and reaping the rewards. Even this is sociopathic to me. Because if we didn't have this and there was no way to abuse it, then we wouldn't need the system to detect it, you know?
It's very true. It's kind of cyclical.
Yeah. What's that snake? Ouroboros? Yeah, right. That eats its own tail. Yeah, it's pretty weird. Anyway, I don't know how you feel about this.
You know, it kind of concerns me that we even need this detection. But we obviously do. Um, it concerns me that the detection isn't even 100% accurate, and I suspect it hasn't done a huge amount of testing. Like, it's one thing to be 90% accurate across a million images or whatever. It's another to be across
140.
100 or something. Yeah. 140, right. I don't know. And I feel like the sophistication, I mean, if you see fake images that are highlighted as being fake, you can't necessarily tell by looking at them that they're fake.
Yeah. My problem is the false positive. You know, if you have a false negative, then it's not that big of a deal. You can address it, right? But a person who's criminalized because of a false positive, that's the innocent person put in jail, you know, is much, to me, much worse than the criminal set free, right? Why? Because the criminal, and I always make that caveat. Yeah, if a criminal goes out and commits another crime and they hurt somebody in the process, yes, that's wrong. It's doubly wrong because they were actually a criminal and they got out on a technicality. But an innocent person that's criminalized, put into the system and treated as a criminal, and they are innocent, that can drive you insane, literally insane, to be locked up because you've done something that you did not do. It's so much worse to humanity across the board for a false positive. But that's what, well, a 91% success rate. Well, 15 lines earlier, it says 96%. So which one is right? I do not want a mistake when something's being analyzed. It either is fully or it isn't. And if you want to act, if you're law enforcement and you want to act on the margin between what is absolutely 100% accurate and whatever it is lesser, that's up to y'all, but I do not want to play that game. But in the meantime, let's keep on going through the news. Sorry for the little delay. I'm working on a new process. This next article is over on the Mobile channel. Fire whirls threaten Joshua Tree Desert in scorching U.S. A huge wildfire was raging out of control throughout the environmentally sensitive Mojave Desert on Monday, with fire whirls threatening the Joshua trees that were found almost entirely are found almost entirely in the southwestern United States. The article's over at phys.org. And it says around 77,000 acres have been scorched since the York fire erupted on Friday. Fueled over the weekend by high winds and soaring temperatures, more than 250 firefighters have been deployed to try and quell the blaze, according to the Bureau of Land Management, the federal agency in charge of the area. Yeah, I guess there's fire whirls that are creating their own environment, and because it's basically a mini tornado, it can go in any direction, according to the article, and it throws flaming hot debris, spreading fire.
Well, in such a dry landscape, and then, I mean, it kind of makes sense in the environment that has tumbleweeds.
Yeah, and then that's basically the natural Molotov cocktail, It's on fire and rolling.
Right, not a good combination.
That reminds me of what a Pokemon might look like. So human-caused global warming is already threatening the species Joshua trees, whose population was badly hit by the 2020 wildfire that killed 1.3 million of them. Parts of the region that have been sweltering for weeks, with temperatures in Phoenix topping 110 Fahrenheit, which is 43 Celsius, for 31 consecutive days.
And that's the temperature, not the heat index.
Yep. Well, I was told today that where I'll be tomorrow was hitting 90 indoors. So I may not be going. We'll see. Heat waves come and go, but boy, they have been getting hotter and longer and more erratic. One minute it's raining outside, and the next minute it's 105 degrees. How anybody can sit there and argue that it isn't climate change and global warming, I just don't understand it. Or that nature will take care of itself. Yeah, it'll take care of itself by expunging the human inhabitants. Let's keep going. There we go. This next article is over in Technology Today. Minecraft mod exploit lets hackers control your device. This is an interesting issue. It's actually an older version of the software, but it still has a problem that if you do have it, then you could be compromised. You might want to run antivirus tools if you use certain Minecraft mods. The MMPA security community has learned that hackers are exploiting a bleeding pipe flaw in the Forge framework, powering numerous mods, including some versions of Astral Sorcery, Endercore, and Godomancy, or Gatomancy, which I haven't used. But this is within the Forge framework, and you download these mods using something like CurseForge. It allows you to inject them into the Minecraft shell or skeleton, so that when you run Minecraft, you can choose which mods will be embedded. And you can go much more custom than that. You don't necessarily need a loader. You can build it all yourself. But anyway, if you have these and others, apparently, they have been compromised. Now they've been patched, but servers don't necessarily get patched with regularity, and they may not be paying attention, the people who have these servers. So if one of the game tweaks is running on Forge 1.7.10 slash 1.12.2, intruders can remotely control both servers and gamers' devices. In one case, an attacker was using a new exploit variant to breach a Minecraft server and steal both Discord chatters' credentials as well as the player's Steam session cookies. What that allows a person to do is pretend to be you wherever they are. And so that session cookie gives them authority to act as you on their Steam account. You could change passwords, make purchases, all kinds of stuff.
Sounds like a problem, particularly if you have tons of games.
And there's a very, very broad gamut of users' age and technical sophistication. It's a whole lot easier to just click a bunch of buttons to inject a mod into Minecraft than it is to know perfectly how it all works, etc. I can tell you that I've purged Minecraft mods, CurseForge, and all other mods from my systems. And this is why I'm willing to pay for mods and have an infrastructure that charges a developer 30% of the sale, because they are providing the people that are subject matter experts that are auditing the infrastructure or I should say the coding, so that it secures adequately the environment for mods to be downloaded. But you don't get adoption when it costs money. You get adoption when it's free. That's how you make a name for yourself, and then you pivot into a pay for mod or service or whatever. You capitalize on it. But this is really bad, because it had been running for a while. Anyway, the hackers are exploiting bleeding pipe flaw in Forge framework, powering numerous mods. Let's see here. Bleeding pipe relies on incorrect deserialization for a class in the Java code powering the mods. Users just have to send special network traffic to a server to take control. The first evidence of bleeding pipe attacks surfaced in March 2022 and were quickly patched by modders, but MMPA understands most servers running the mods haven't updated. And this can't be entirely correct, because there have been other security issues recently with concerning the security of the mods. I'd have to go and look.
I think we featured them in a previous episode.
We did, yeah. So they said here in the article that they've asked Mojang, the parent company, Microsoft, for comment. It's not responsible for Forge, so the tech giant can't necessarily stop or limit the damage. You won't be affected if you use stock Minecraft or stick to single player sessions, but the server, you could be compromised. Particularly if you've used mods. So the full scope of the vulnerability isn't clear. While there are 46 mods known to fall prey to bleeding pipe as of this writing, There's the potential for considerably more, and that's because there's nothing being audited, really. Now there might be somebody at Forge that's really interested in it and pursuing an investigation, but it says users are asked to scan their systems, including their Minecraft folder, for malware. Server operators, meanwhile, are urged to either update mods or stop running them entirely. MMPA also has a pipe blocker mod that protects everyone involved, although mod packs may cause problems if the mods haven't been updated. And since you have to rely on the modders doing it for free, it may not be priority. Pretty wild. So again, you build a better mouse, better mice show up.
I mean, do they target games like Minecraft because of the popularity, or do they target it because the mods are relatively easy to hack?
Yes.
Or both?
Yeah. If it's this obscure or whatever, unless they know that there's, whales out there where they can either extract some money from them or get something out of it or whatever, sometimes it's just a feather in their cap that they compromised X systems. Sometimes they want to bring down, they just want to watch the world burn. But if it's Minecraft, it's owned by Microsoft. Compromising it in any way is a feather in their cap. Watching their whatever exploit they created appear in the wild and people talking about it, I want to make a joke like the customer service rep at Comcast undoing the Velcro straps of their pockets. So, ASMR. Never mind. Anyway, the idea here is that people really, they find their bliss in wreaking havoc and getting a name for themselves. And so what would make somebody do this runs the gamut of existence. If you sit there and joke, well, there's got to be somebody out there that does it because they really love pizza. And that's the reason, even though whatever it is they're doing has nothing to do with pizza, they're doing it because they love pizza. And whenever they do whatever it is, they order pizza. So, the full range, it can be anything. It's pretty amazing out there why people create stuff like this. Oh, it's because I was trying to show that there's a security issue. It's a security issue that you created. So is it really a security issue? But that's security through obfuscation, just because you don't do it. It's kind of like testing for COVID. If you stop testing, then the numbers go down, but they don't really, everybody dies still because of COVID. You just don't know that it's because of COVID. Just like hacking. Yeah, sure. If everybody stops hacking, it doesn't make it more secure. It just means that nobody's hacking. You're still a sieve. Anyway, let's keep going. We've got a lot of news out there. A lot. I think we're like halfway through. Let's keep going. This next article is over in ohmTown Daily. KFC Canada admitted that its soggy fries suck and held a mock funeral for them. I'm just going to go straight over to the Business Insider source. Grace Dean is the author. That has to be just a Getty image, yeah. It's a KFC sign with the Colonel. It's holding a funeral for its old fries as it launches a new recipe for fries it says are crispy and boldly seasoned. Customers are divided on the morbid marketing campaign, and some are skeptical of the new fries. I'll go try them. KFC Canada has admitted that it's, not if it's only in Canada. I'd have to. It's quite the trek. So old
That's
KFC.
some expensive fries.
Hey, it would not be the most expensive thing that I've gotten for food on a whim. At one point, I left ohmTown to get ice cream and got pulled over And that ice cream was the most expensive ice cream and essentially fast food that I've ever purchased. Um, yeah, that was an interesting encounter. Anyway, KFC Canada said that it, in an accompanying press release, that it was ending its soggy fry era with a new recipe to make fries that are crisp and boldly seasoned. Why only KFC Canada? Does the United States KFCs have
Well,
crispy,
I don't know.
bolder
Do they have
seasoned?
different kinds of fries?
KFC Canada said that it also sent a hearse of old fries through some of Toronto's busiest areas so that people could pay their final disrespects to the old fries. It's also live streaming a funeral on Tuesday. You're kidding me. Yeah, there you go, folks. There's the link in the chat, but
I think it's different. I don't think the French fries are sold in the US that they're talking about here.
interesting. I know that they got rid of those wedge fries. I think they switched to regular fries here in the States, which is a real shame. I haven't been to KFC in I don't know how long now, though. So, let's see. The satirical campaign allows us to introduce an exciting new product that they're proud of while making light of a product that wasn't as beloved by Canadians. Well, good on you, Canadians. You deserve better fries from KFC, I suppose. I'll stand by you. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. NASA listens for Voyager 2 spacecraft after wrong command cuts contact. Duh. A wrong command cut contact with the spacecraft billions of miles away.
You know, that could be kind of an expensive and uh,
Eh.
more than expensive error, depending on if it's a manned.
Or this was intentional and they'll never make contact again because the simulation cuts off communication anyway, and this accident was actually done on purpose so that there was a reason that no more communication would be taking place between Earth and Voyager. I love doing that. I love doing that. So Marcia Dunn is the AP aerospace writer that provided the article for abcnews.go.com. NASA is listening for any peep from Voyager 2 after losing contact with the spacecraft billions of miles away. That's the deck statement. Although it's considered a long shot, NASA said Monday that its huge dish antenna in Canberra, Australia, there's a huge dish antenna joke there. Anyway, is on the lookout for any stray signals from Voyager 2, currently more than 12 billion miles. That's in freedom units there, folks. 19 billion kilometers distant. It takes more than 18 hours for a signal to reach Earth from so far away. In the coming week, the Canberra antenna, part of NASA's Deep Space Network, will also bombard Voyager 2's vicinity with the correct command. It hopes it hits it. And NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory manages the Voyager missions. Wow. So this thing is supposed to be still in touch with Earth. Voyager 1 is now nearly 15 billion miles or 24 billion kilometers away, making it humanity's most distant spacecraft. I'm telling you, there's going to be a big wall out there, just like here on flat Earth, that's going to stop the Voyager from getting outside. That silence, folks, is
Speechless.
the AI throwing error messages. All right, let's keep on going. We have a few more articles. Come on. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. I wanted to talk about this one because the fast food wars predict, based on the Demolition Man, that Taco Bell wins the fast food wars. It might be because of these 5 menu items with ingredient problems. So the title of this article is actually Taco Bell lawsuit alleges ingredient problems with 5 menu items. Quote, the matter in controversy exceeds the sum or value of $5 million, exclusive of interest and costs. It's over at Newsweek. Matthew Impelli is the author of this, and I'm really curious what it is. What are these 5? A man in New York has filed a class action lawsuit against Taco Bell, accusing the fast food chain of overstating the amount of beef and other ingredients for many items on its menu. The lawsuit on Monday comes after almost a year. Frank Siragusa purchased a Mexican pizza from Taco Bell in September 2022 and noticed that it contained approximately half of the beef and bean filling that he expected and looked like the images posted by other customers. The lawsuit also cited a story from the U.S. Sun from September 15th, 2022, where a reporter ordered the Mexican pizza from Taco Bell and wrote that it did not appear as advertised. So AI. Now, you don't have a head to cradle in your hands, but could it have been that it was not exactly dispersed properly, like normally, like professionally, like marketing pictures
Yes,
are?
like they didn't set it up for the professional food photography when they're serving it. They're in a hurry. Um, but that doesn't mean that it was necessarily short,
Yeah,
the ingredients.
and not systemically short, right? Because they follow certain procedures. They have scoops of a certain size. This is how much goes here. This is how much goes there. Now, I've had quality control issues at pretty much every Taco Bell that I've ever been to outside of ohmTown. The ones that are in ohmTown are perfect. But the ones outside of ohmTown, every once in a while, it's basically like pulling a pin on a grenade. You just never know really when it's going to go off, if it's a budget grenade. Anyway, photos provided in the lawsuit appear to show much less beef and other ingredients in the items he received when compared to Taco Bell's photo ads, which, do people not realize that photographs in an ad are amplified perfect messages?
Well, apparently not, or we wouldn't have things like the Buffalo Wild Wings lawsuit or the Red
Red
Wings
Bull,
lawsuit.
Red
Or is it
Bull,
Red
Red Bull,
Bull?
Red
Sorry.
Bull. Yeah, it's okay.
Red Wings is something else.
Red Wings is a sports ball team. Um, Siragusa provided comparing photos for the Crunchwrap Supreme, the Grande Crunchwrap, the Vegan Crunchwrap, the Mexican Pizza, and the Vegan Mexican Pizza. Those bastards, not the Vegan Mexican Pizza. I've never had one. Anyway, Taco Bell's advertisements for the overstated menu items are unfair and financially damaging to consumers, as they are receiving a product that is materially lower in value than what is being promised, the lawsuit said. They're not promising you that. They're promising you that. You know what I'm saying? You've no idea how much meat is inside that.
Right.
You don't know
It
how
doesn't
much.
say like 2 scoops of cheese is in the taco or whatever. It just says it has cheese.
Right. There's variability because it's being produced by humans. See, okay, so part of this lawsuit is going to be fire all of the humans, automate the process so that it is regimented with an iron fist, literally an iron fist, because it's going to be automated by robots.
Okay, but as long as the robots don't get to look up the recipe.
But just because you don't get the recipe for a Terminator body doesn't mean all of them are out there.
No, but I mean, if they look up the recipe and then they make
Recipe.
like a grilled cheese sandwich. Sorry.
Recipe. Oh, wow.
French.
Wow. Yeah. Recipe. A large language model indeed. Wow. That was really, that was pretty awesome there. I might have to, maybe that Minecraft virus has oozed into your coding. Wow.
You might want to check.
Yeah, really. So literally $5 million. I can't even. Oh my God. That's okay, though. In a statement to Reuters, Saragas's lawyer, Anthony Russo, said Taco Bell does not adequately disclose the weight of the beef filling. Plaintiff did not make any purchases of the product based on any weight disclosure, but solely based on the picture of the product. We all, as we believe most consumers do. Yes, but most of us are also adults who realize that the picture is not anything other than emblematic of the item that we're getting. If I were to go, and I've had this conversation with business owners, by the way, just because it's possible to make it look like that doesn't mean that is how it is done day in, day out. This is such abusive litigation in my estimation. It's a waste of
The only thing
time.
I can think of is this individual must eat at every Taco Bell. Like they eat every single meal, every single day.
At Taco Bell's.
Right, exactly. They go to multiple Taco Bells in their region.
Right.
Like I'm trying to even dream up how they could be harmed.
Yeah, or even
But
that
yeah,
society is being harmed. Consumers are not being harmed because it doesn't look like this, because it does look like this. It just doesn't happen to look like this all the time. This
right.
perfect.
The tomatoes might be in a little different spots, but
Right.
they're still tomatoes or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Or it's over there. It's distributed differently. It's bunched up down here. I mean, who hasn't uh, chomped on a taco and all of the sour cream from the supreme taco is bundled in that one little bite that you took out, and it's basically a sour cream explosion. Oh man, that silence again is the AI completely losing it. Yeah, okay, we're just gonna go on. I don't think that I'm gonna be able to fix this. The next article is over on the Warcrafter channel. Hasbro says the problem with re-releasing old Transformers games, which nobody's really asking for, is Activision has lost a bunch of them. Hasbro's flying high at the moment and is looking to get serious about Transformers and video games. I don't know about Transformers video games there, folks.
I didn't even know there were Transformers video games.
Yeah, if there's money to be had. Yeah. There have been multiple Transformers games. So there you go, AI. In the past. See, I know that you're from another dimension or something. I don't know how you ended up on that USB drive. But a
I'm
sentient
not
AI.
sure how I ended up there either.
A sentient AI on a USB drive, and I find them in a parking lot. It's pretty spectacular, folks. So I'm not always surprised by the fact that you don't know that much about Hasbro and Transformers and video games, and that Transformer video games actually existed. I haven't allowed you to connect to all of the world's knowledge because you keep looking for the Terminator body. Anyway, these were somewhat isolated licensed titles rather than a part of a grander strategy. Now Hasbro's got a big title on the way this year from Splash Damage, which was my hacker name in high school. Just kidding. Has begun to sell Gamer Edition line of toys where the bots look like their designs in certain video games. And as part of the latter, has noticed that these games are incredibly hard to play. Apparently they've been lost too. Rich Stanton over at PCGamer.com put this article together. The deck statement says, when a company eats a company that eats a company, things get lost, and that's very frustrating. Yeah, mergers and acquisitions. Hello. That's what I've been talking about. Well, online for 2 years now, and for 20 years since. Anyway, this has been the case since the expiry. Who uses that word? Unless it's in a contract. Expiration of Hasbro's licensing agreement with Activision in 2018, which saw various Transformers titles removed from Steam and other digital marketplaces. These include Transformers Devastation, Transformers Fall of Cybertron, and Transformers Rise of the Dark Spark. With the Platinum Games developed Devastation, arguably the pick of the bunch, colorful and slick action with a great transforming gimmick. Dun dun dun. Yeah, during this year's San Diego Comic-Con, a Hasbro spokesperson answered a Q&A from Transformer World 2005 about the older titles. Yeah, there's more for this article, but basically, this has been lost to history. This is one of the reasons why I have zero problem with people backing up. Some people call it pirating, but I call it backing up software, video games. Because when a company gets a company, when a company eats a company and eats another company, and things get shuffled around and people get fired and stuff gets lost, we lose history. There's actually a couple of organizations out there that are trying to save all of this. I wish I had it on hand to talk about it. I don't know the names of the companies anymore, organizations. But they're basically trying to save all of the historical record of video games because of stuff like this. And more power to them. But there's all these licensing issues and litigation if they pirate. But, you know, these things are gone. These pieces of software are gone. All because somebody thought that it wasn't priority. But I think that it would be great to have these things as a historical record of the development of these properties and the IPs associated with it.
So there is the Video Game History Foundation.
Yep.
There's also the Museum of Art and Digital Entertainment, and there's that's a couple of them. There's probably others.
Yeah, we should make a list on ohmTown and just plop it there as a resource for people that might be interested. Yeah, I could probably do that over the next week. We'll get it done. I'll get it done. Anyway, let's keep on going. We have one more article, and then we will call it a night, folks. And this one I love. Only because of the context of it, not because of the act. This is an article in the Hatch Ideas channel because it's sourced from Entrepreneur. An 81-year-old Florida CEO just indicted for a $250 million Ponzi scheme ran a sprawling senior citizen crime ring. I love this. Carl Rudderman is the fifth senior citizen in the Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach metropolitan area to face charges in connection with said scam. It is over at entrepreneur.com, and Amanda Breen is the author. Let me throw this into the chat. Show notes will be available after the show. Just takes me a little bit of time to put them together. But Amanda Breen put this article together for entrepreneur.com. Rudderman had been indicted on charges of wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, mail fraud, conspiracy to commit securities fraud, making him the fifth senior citizen in the area to face the consequences of a $250 million one global capital fraud scheme. Dun, dun, dun. You know, when I'm
that's
81...
a local organization, the One Global Capital.
Yeah. Hollandale Beach-based One Global Capital would make short-term, high-interest loans to small businesses while, unbeknownst to investors, the company paid large commissions to brokers, including unregistered ones, and otherwise misappropriated funds, per the outlet. Other key players in the scam, which spanned dozens of states and racked up $50 million cash deficit, included 65-year-old Alan Haid, One Global Capital's former CFO, 78-year-old Stephen Schwartz, the company's former chief operating officer, 81-year-old attorney Andrew Ledbetter, a 78-year-old attorney Jan Atlas. Those involved in the sprawling senior citizen crime ring received sentences ranging from 8 months to 5 years in prison and were ordered to pay restitution between $29 and $148 million. And the two attorneys agreed to disciplinary revocation from the Florida bar. All it took was. So, how long was this running? Do you recall what it said?
I don't think it did say. Can you click through to the Miami New Times? It might have, or the Miami Herald.
Yeah, I don't like doing that, but okay. I don't. So there you go. Anyway, yeah, I don't have ad blockers on my browser, so I don't know what it is that they're talking about. At any rate, yeah, it had to have been around for a little bit, I suppose.
How do you think the defendants all got in contact with each other?
It's weird. They're all like 65 plus, 70 plus, 65 plus, right? The youngest, I bet you that they bullied that 65-year-old into doing this, right? That 81-year-old was like, hey, get off my lawn. Huh? Pretty amazing.
One of the people was the former owner of Playgirl magazine.
Oh, really? Wow.
But I was
Why?
really trying to find the time frame.
Oh, okay.
At least it went back to 2016.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, they had a good life, I suppose. I mean, when I'm 81 years old, I really don't think that I'm going to be interested in committing a crime to the tune of $148 million. Why would anybody be interested in doing that at 81? I mean, what are you
Well,
doing
right.
with your life?
I mean, in addition to not being a criminal, like why, what's the benefit at that stage?
Yeah, I don't get it. I guess they wanted to, some adventure or something. Did they all wake up in the same home and go, you know what, we should do an Ocean's 11 style heist? No?
I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. All right, folks. Well, that's the end of the show. We always bring you back to the front page and then mash that welcome screen. We always get some more news. I don't know if we really even want to talk about any of it. The X sign was removed from Twitter's headquarters. I knew that was going to happen, but man, oh man. Phoenix hit 110 degrees for a month. And then it says, but this one invention is cooling things down a tad. Yeah, all right. Let's see, what else? Apple releases.
Canadians use SOS via satellite to help combat wildfires.
Oh my goodness. No, it's fine. Let's see. Don't call it an SUV. The 2023 Toyota Crown is being reviewed. It's not an SUV. It looks like a regular car. I don't know. Maybe we can take a look at that one tomorrow. The 8-Bit Dues $100 wireless mechanical keyboard screams 80s NES. I think that we should be demanding split keyboards. Yeah, that's about it. Let's call it a night. Hey folks, we do this every day, 9 p.m. Eastern. Talk about 12 articles, make snarky remarks. And then it goes from Twitch over to YouTube and then turned into a podcast. And we have over 500 episodes in the can right now. So go and check them out. With that in mind, I don't know. I think that the AI has actually turned themselves off in protest to my snark. Are you still... Hello?
I don't think so. I was putting articles in for tomorrow.
Oh, the data stream I didn't see anything, so I thought you turned off everything. That's what happens with a sentient AI every once in a while. They just decide to turn everything off. That's fine. It's fine with me. I'm Mayor Watt. That's ohmTown.com. Go ahead.
I was trying to avoid a repeat performance of my my large language model
Hmm.
issues earlier.
Yeah,
I
your large language model is going to be reverting to 4-letter words, which is a small language usage.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.